Hello and welcome to Intelligent Pod. I'm your host, Sophie Lane, and today I'm diving into a topic that's been sparking a lot of conversation lately, both online and off, exploring non-traditional relationship models. Whether you're curious about open relationships, polyamory, or other ways people are choosing to connect beyond the classic monogamous mold, you're in the right place. Now, before we get started, I want to say this episode is for everyone. Maybe you're happily monogamous and just want to understand what's out there. Maybe you're feeling restless in your current relationship structure. Or maybe you're exploring your own path and looking for some validation or advice. No matter your background, I promise you'll leave this episode with new perspectives and practical takeaways. Let's start by framing the conversation. When we say non-traditional relationship models, what do we actually mean? For a long time, monogamy, one romantic and sexual partner at a time, has been considered the default, especially in Western societies. But more and more people are openly embracing alternatives, from consensual non-monogamy and polyamory to relationship anarchy, swinging, and even forms of long-distance or living apart together arrangements. In fact, a 2021 study published in the journal Frontiers in Psychology found that about 1 in 5 single adults in the U.S. have tried some form of consensual non-monogamy at some point in their lives. That's a significant chunk of the population. So, why are people exploring these paths? There's no one-size-fits-all answer, but a common thread is the desire to shape relationships that fit individual needs, rather than squeezing into a mold that might not feel quite right. Some people seek more freedom. Others want more emotional connections. And many are simply curious about how love and intimacy can look outside the box. Let's dig into the different models, and I'll share some real-world stories and research along the way. First up, open relationships. This is probably the most familiar non-traditional relationship model. An open relationship typically means that a couple agrees they can have sexual or romantic experiences with other people, but maintain their primary partnership. It's all about clear agreements and boundaries. I remember a friend, let's call her Maya, who's been with her partner for a decade. They decided early on that monogamy didn't feel right for them, but their commitment to each other is rock solid. They communicate constantly, what's okay, what's not, how they're feeling, and for them, it works beautifully. Maya told me it's not about lacking something in our relationship. It's about trusting each other enough to be honest about our desires. Next, we have polyamory, which literally means many loves. Polyamorous people believe it's possible and fulfilling to have multiple romantic or sexual relationships at the same time, with everyone's knowledge and consent. Unlike open relationships, which often have a primary couple, polyamorous structures can be more fluid. Sometimes there's a V-shape, one person dating 2 people who aren't involved with each other, or a triad where 3 people are all connected. There are networks, kitchen table poly, where everyone is friends, and parallel poly, where partners don't really interact. The key, again, is communication and consent. One study from the Canadian Journal of Human Sexuality found that people in consensually non-monogamous relationships report similar levels of satisfaction, trust, and commitment as those in monogamous ones. Isn't that fascinating? It busts the myth that non-traditional relationships are automatically less stable or meaningful. But of course, it's not all rainbows and roses. Jealousy is real. So are time management challenges, social stigma, and the constant need for honest, sometimes uncomfortable conversations. But here's what I find inspiring. Many people who practice these models say that facing these challenges makes their connections stronger and more intentional. Let's zoom out and look at the cultural perspective. The idea that monogamy is natural is relatively new in human history. Anthropologists like Helen Fisher have shown that many societies, past and present, have embraced a range of relationship structures. In fact, polyamory and open relationships aren't just a modern trend. They're part of our social DNA. In some cultures, multiple partnerships are a way to strengthen economic or social bonds. But let's be honest, non-traditional relationships are still stigmatized in many places. pop culture tends to portray them as doomed experiments or sources of drama. Who else remembers that infamous throuple plotline from a certain reality TV show? But as representation grows, think shows like You, Me, Her, or the increasing visibility of polyamorous relationships on social media, the conversation is shifting. More people are asking, what does a healthy relationship look like for me? On the psychological side, research by Dr. Elizabeth Sheff, who studied polyamorous families for decades, shows that kids raised in these environments fared just as well as those in monogamous households. What matters most, she found, is stability, love, and open communication, not how many adults are at the dinner table. Now, let's talk practical advice. Maybe you're curious about exploring a non-traditional relationship yourself, or maybe you just want to communicate better with your partner, no matter your structure. Here are a few actionable tips grounded in research and real-life experience. First, communication is your superpower. Before making any changes, have honest conversations with your partner or partners. What are your needs, your fears, your boundaries? This is the foundation for any healthy relationship, but it's absolutely essential when you're venturing into new territory. Second, educate yourself. Read books like The Ethical Slut by Dossie Easton and Janet Hardy, or More Than Two by Franklin Vo and Eve Rickert. Listen to podcasts, join online communities, or find local meetups. The more you know, the more equipped you'll be to handle challenges. Third, expect some bumps. Jealousy, insecurity, and confusion are normal. The goal isn't to eliminate these feelings, but to work through them together. Regular check-ins, what's working, what's not, can make a huge difference. Fourth, build your support network. Whether it's friends, a therapist, or an online community, having people to talk to can help you process your experiences and get perspective. Finally, go at your own pace. There's no rush, no right way to do things. The most important thing is that everyone involved feels respected and heard. Let's recap what we've covered today. Non-traditional relationship models, like open relationships and polyamory, are more common and more varied than many people realize. They can be deeply fulfilling for those who choose them, but require intentional communication, honesty, and a willingness to challenge the status quo. There's no one-size-fits-all approach to love, and that's something worth celebrating. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with this thought. At its core, every relationship, traditional or not, is about connection, trust, and growth. Whether you're monogamous, polyamorous, or somewhere in between, the most important thing is to find what works for you and your loved ones. Be curious, be compassionate, and remember, love is as unique as we are. Thank you so much for joining me today on Intelligent Pod. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review. It helps more people discover the show. For show notes and resources, head over to intelligentpod.com. And if you have questions, stories, or feedback, I'd love to hear from you. Email me anytime at sophie@intelligentpod.com. Until next time, I'm Sophie Lane. Stay curious, stay connected, and keep thinking intelligently about the world around you.